Great. So again, welcome everyone. Please don't forget to turn off your cameras. I can still see a couple of cameras for for non-speakers. Rafael Canal, perhaps you could stop your camera. Welcome to the second day of the PIC event. Yesterday we had a day concentrating on the topic of bio-based innovation from and for plant production. We had 14 speakers, 14 experts coming to explain some of the innovation in the field of bio-based innovations at different time of the plant production, early stages, all the way to reusing some of the byproducts of plant production. We always try to keep that angle of demo farming, demo sites, because we believe that's a really crucial way of bringing innovation in the hands of the users, of the farmers, etc. So we talked a lot about these concepts of demonstration and building demonstration capacity, focusing specifically on bio-based innovation. Today, we continue looking at demo farming and demonstration capability, but we focus on another topic, the topic of horticulture and fruticulture protected cultures. To take us through that morning of discussion, we have our moderator, Fabio Boscaleri of the Tuscany region, the Brussels office. So Fabio, good morning, and the floor is yours to introduce us to this morning of presentations.
Thank you very much, Celia, and good morning, everyone. I hope I can moderate properly this session, which is quite engaging and interesting. Maybe a few words about me. As said, I'm Fabio Boscaleri. I work for the regional government of Tuscany. I'm Brussels-based, and I'm coordinating. I'm a technical coordinator of some networks that are active on agricultural innovation, and also partner in a project that is sponsoring today's event, which is H2020 Nefertiti. Saying that, without any further undue delay, we have to enter this session today, this conference, which is focusing on high-tech, zero-carbon footprint horticulture and fruticulture. We have a panel list of 3 speakers, and I would like to give the floor to Professor Francesco Ferrini from the University of Florence for his keynote speech. Please, Francesco.
Thank you very much. I hope you can hear me well. Thank you very much for the introduction. And I also thank all the organization for inviting me to give this short keynote presentation. I will then share my screen. Okay, I think you can see the screen.
Yeah, it's coming.
It's coming, okay. So my presentation is the keynote speech, so I will talk about inside, outside the nursery gates, especially how technologies can help to improve both the production process and the quality of the product. I will start with a phrase that was said by the Vice President of the FAO last week. We cannot pretend to be competitive if we are not sustainable, and at the same time, we are not sustainable if we are not competitive. I think there is a lot of truth in this phrase. So to be competitive, we need to be sustainable, and we need to know the road to sustainability. And the first thing to do is to safeguard and use resources in a rational way. Resources like water, soil, ecosystem, and energy, we know they are not never-ending, and so we have to take care, especially regarding use of water, use of soil, and how to preserve, maintain, and maybe improve the ecosystem, and at the same time use as less energy as possible. And also, we need to grow, we need to work on the integrated pest management. We know that pests are becoming more and more dangerous, and they're creating a lot of problems, not only to the nursery sector, but to whole agriculture and landscape. One question that we have to ask is, how green are trees? Because sometimes we don't know how the production process can affect in a positive or negative way the environment. So, for example, I think that most of the nurseries should analyze their life cycle assessment, their carbon and water footprint, to assess their environmental footprint. And this is a system that was developed by a colleague from the University of Florida in Tampa, if I well remember. You see, it starts from the nursery tree production in terms of equipment, other capital and goods, and all the system needs to be checked at any time. And also in Italy, we are doing something regarding this. This is a paper published by a colleague of mine here in Florence. They made a work a few years ago in Pistoia to assess the environmental sustainability of the ornamental plant production at the nursery level. I'm sure that there is a need for research. There is a need for research because this nursery sector is considered to be a strategic sector in Europe, especially in this near future. But at the same time, very little money it's dedicated for research projects. For example, in Italy, just the 0.0004% of the gross income of the sector is dedicated to research. This sector in Italy value about 2.5 billion euros, and the money for research is just 1 million euros. So it's 1 out of 25. And the second bullet point is that the nurseries very rarely are involved in the planning and design process, and this is not good, because they should be involved from the very beginning, and the nurseries should become the engine of the change. Because if you want to plant trees, if you want to plant quality trees, if you want to improve the environment, to green the city, and to improve life quality and well-being of the citizens, you need to start from a very good quality nursery material. And we have to remember that trees are living beings, not numbers. If you go to the internet, you can find a lot of announcements about planting trees everywhere in the world. They're talking about planting 1 trillion trees in the next 10 years. The European Union is going to plant 3 billion trees by 2030. You can find a lot of announcement about this, but you know that if you want to plant billions of trees, you need to start by investing in the plant nursery sector. And unfortunately, this is not happening so far, but I hope it will happen in the future. So we need to change our view. The nursery should be central and must be involved in the design and management of urban green. So you have to start from the very good quality planting material, and then go to the urban landscape and peri-urban landscape to have a very good landscape in the future. Because also, so many professionals are involved in the process, starting from landscape architects, but also, as you can see in this slide, the health service providers and the social psychologists must be involved, because we know that having more green in the city means to have a higher well-being for the people and a higher health quality. So this is just like a preliminary statement, but there is always a but when you talk about this matter. The but that there is a need to change, because there are several signs that we can see, but we need to catch them, to understand them, to evaluate them, and to adapt to them. Because in the last 5 or maybe 10 years, a lot of things, but especially in the last year, a lot of things have changed, and a lot of signs tell us that we have to change, and we have to plant more trees, but we have to plant more trees properly. And there are some main issues that, of my opinion, should be taken into consideration. For example, we should invest a lot of money in breeding for pest resistance and climate change tolerance of the different species, because this is a real problem. And I also think that we shouldn't be scared by the possible use of genetically modified organisms. I know that this is a very, dangerous things to speak about because some people can react in a negative way. But in this case, we're not talking about something that we have to eat. So probably we can start to use GMO for defend our trees, our shrubs, our flower, our herbaceous perennials in the landscape against pest attack. Because according to the FAO, about $220 billion every year are lost by due to plant disease, but probably this amount is far underestimated. The second point we have to deal with, if you want to go in a more sustainable way, is probably irrigation. We have to use less water and energy. The nursery should be a catalyst for a change in policies and practices. We have to encourage research in this field, research that can tell us how to reduce the use of water and how to use the water in a more appropriate way. And also another goal is to facilitate capacity building and development. Strategies, obviously most of them are very well known, like modernizing irrigation system strategy or improving performance of irrigation system strategies, but also we have to look at using wastewater or poor quality water for irrigation strategy. We have done some research. I have put in this slide some references in the past in the Pistoia nursery districts about using municipal treated wastewater for nurseries irrigation with very good results. So this is probably a source of water we should consider in the near future. And then innovation. Innovation in the nursery sector, especially in the open field nursery, is still back compared to other fields like floriculture or the open field agriculture. But we need to go toward innovation using robots, using machines to reduce the need of hand labor, but also to check to continuously 24 hours a day to check our plant in terms of needed water, in terms of pest attacks and so on. You can reduce up to 40% of hand labor, and this can be a problem in some countries where the hand labor is not an issue, is not a shortage like in the European Union. So we have to think about shifting from sustainable production to responsible production that also includes the social economy. You know that sustainability is not just environmental sustainability, it's social sustainability and economic sustainability. So you have also to be sustainable in a social way. So we have to check what is the right machine to be used at the right time in the right place, not just use machine just because it's funny or because they can save time. We have to use the right machine that, for example, can plant trees properly or that can detect a pest attack very well in advance compared to the human eye. And also, there is a need to work on the workers' well-being. People who are working in a very wealthy environment are happier and more productive. So also workers' well-being, hand worker, or people who are working with devices and tools and machines, like in this case, need to work in a very safe environment using the DPI which are appropriate for their duties. And at the very end, we have to work also on the logistic. Logistic starts from the plant uprooting from the nursery and finish when the plants are delivered to the place where they will be planted. So we have to work on this because this is a picture from Pistoia. You know, Pistoia is the biggest nursery area in Europe, probably one of the biggest in the world. but there is still a problem of transportation. So the roads are very narrow, and there is a need to build a road network that allows the trucks, like in this case, to get out from the nursery in a very fast way without creating problems around the area. The main answer should be we need to have a larger road network. I don't think it's true. We probably need to have a more efficient road network. So this is the way we should plan the future roads around the nursery to facilitate the plant transportation. So just to finish, what are or what should be, in my opinion, the future trends in high-tech nursery production? First of all, we have to use non-fossil for energy, for the energy, so fossil-free, emission-free, with no nutrient losses, and pesticide-free. No chemicals substituted by natural or natural-like products, to have an integral sustainability, not just one part of sustainability. Then we have to go digital, using more sensor as we can, using artificial intelligence and phenotyping to also to analyze plants. And then we have to use, as I said before, the right machine, the right place, the right time. We have to go towards robotics automation in terms of labor saving, or labor free. I put within brackets because I'm not sure that going labor free is really sustainable. In this case, we have a full control in an advanced production system, like it happens already in the floriculture and horticulture production, using this kind of robot to detect, for example, disease, to harvest gerbera, or to harvest tomato, to treat tomatoes against, for example, powdery mildew. So this is my last slide. I went very fast to leave time for the discussion afterwards, and I would like to thank you again for giving me the opportunity to speak of this very prominent audience and this parterre verroir of speakers. So thank you very much, and I'll give the floor to Fabio.
Thank you, Professor Ferrini. Thank you very much for your speech. Very comprehensive. I think you touched upon plenty of elements and gave us a lot of food for thought. Maybe I just get this chance to bridge to the next speakers because I saw there are some new participants coming in. We don't take questions on live, so if you have question, I think we can challenge the participants, because I think in your speech you have been really comprehensive. So maybe I will ask participants if they spot something that is not listed in your presentation. Maybe they are welcome to put that in the chat. So please put your questions, statements, or thoughts in the chat. We will take them afterward. And of course, now I will give the floor to Professor Luca Corelli Grappadelli, who is at CIRI-AGRO, University of Bologna. He will give us another speech from another angle. And please, Professor Grappadelli, the floor is yours. Mike. Not yet. We don't have the voice, Professor.
Now you should hear me.
Yeah.
Thank you for inviting me, and good morning, everyone, for this interesting session. I would like to share some of the results of a project that is currently underway in the experimental farm of the University of Bologna, and I think it's particularly fitting in today's topic, particularly Sustainability, as Professor Ferrini has already indicated, is the 3 E's that make up the word sustainable. So it's a comprehensive concept, but also we are mating that to the 3rd mission environment, thinking in terms of sites that can become and remain for some time in the future as demonstration of innovation that takes us to better sustainability. This is the case of the S3O project, where S3O is an acronym that we've been using and proposing at the University of Bologna in recent years. The 3 S's are smart, coarse, specialized. We think of the fruit industry that produces fruit for the world. So the specialized production, the integrated production methods of fruit. And of course, the 3rd is the sustainable orchards. This is a project that has been running for the last 2 years under a grant disbursed by the Emilia-Romagna region within the PORFES program, releasing European funds through competitive calls. I am the principal investigator of this project, which has a number of partners, 2 research centers from the University of Bologna, 1 from the University of Sacro Cuore in Piacenza, CRPV lab, and Canale Emiliano Romagnolo, plus a number of organization of producers and private companies, all based in the region Emilia-Romagna, of course. So where do we come from? From a very basic concept, but not one that is so commonly known. And that is that despite common belief, in many parts of Europe and of the world, particularly where fruit growing is at home, very high light levels occur for very long periods of time. And these light levels are often way too much for plants for their needs to produce photosynthase, and the excess light results in damages that need to be repaired. The plants that we grow are very smart and have evolved very efficient ways of repairing these damages. In fact, they are so fast, these mechanisms, that it's very difficult to demonstrate that they are operating and how much photosynthetic carbon they consume in their repair mechanisms. But we have a number of publications from my lab that have shown that this is in fact the case. And our estimates are that around 10% of daily photosynthase are lost in the repair mechanism. So it's a large chunk of productivity that we're not harvesting because there's so much more light than needed. Bringing all this light energy also increases leaf temperature and raises the demand for water from the leaves to cool off via transpiratory losses. So the idea, very simple, that spurs from these kind of knowledge is, why don't we take some of the lights away and do maybe something else with that light, and perhaps relieve stresses from the trees that can improve their final yields and productivity. And can we do that without having to invent something dramatically new, but rather using existing technologies that we combine in a way that is unprecedented, so that we can extract further usefulness from these technologies, which would help making them more economically viable, because these things are expensive. So here you see the orchard. The right side of it is what we call triple cover, because it features 3 commercially available forms of orchard protection: and anti-insect netting, anti-hail that you don't see very well, but is there on the right side as well, and anti-rain covers on the top, only on the top of the orchard of each row. This is compared to a standard anti-hail cover in the rest of the orchard. So as you can see, Smart specialized in sustainable orchard. When we wrote the grant application, we were in the midst of another experiment that was supported by other EU funds, where we were testing photovoltaic plastics. These black strips here are for photovoltaic panels embedded in a plastic matrix, which we wanted to really install in place of the rain covers. So we would have not just the rain protection by the plastics and the light reduction that these materials afford us, but also the production of electricity on site. Because what we aim, our ultimate goal in our impacts, is to achieve a fossil carbon-free orchard that is completely electric. And so this project features the development of an autonomous vehicle, electrically powered, with innovative smart charge system controllers, and that will replace entirely a tractor, a conventional tractor. Then we have an irrigation system, which is already electrically powered, of course, but it's also running completely under an Internet of Things configuration. It's driven by a decision support system of the Canale Emiliano-Romagnolo, and what we do is just system monitoring to ensure that it works. We also have installed a fixed point spraying system to reduce pesticide application, which increases the sustainability, but it also removes the need for a sprayer, so it can also be operated electrically. The triple cover also aims to eliminate quite a high amount of light so that we can reduce water use. And all of this, of course, must occur without sacrificing yield traits, in particular quality of production. So here's a few shots from the different parts. What you see here is the electric vehicle. This is capable of leaving the shed and going to the orchard and moving throughout the orchard without assistance. The operator will be a system controller monitoring it from remote. You can carry different implements like a shredder or a sprayer. I couldn't explain to you this diagram, but it's just to show the work of another team of engineers that are concerned with the generation of electricity and its storage in batteries and its release for the needs of the rover under very sophisticated artificial intelligence algorithms that optimize the charge-discharge cycles for the batteries. This is vital to ensure the longest life of the batteries, which are a very expensive component of the system, so they need to be really looked after carefully. This is the one example of a fixed point sprayer. This is a commercially available product in Italy, but the use that we are putting it to was not, I don't think, anticipated, but it's proving its worth. Here on the left, you see results of our assessment of leaf coverage by these systems, which is the work we did last year, and this year we're actually using it to control scab. The results are not in yet. This is how we change the light environment under the triple cover. So the blue light here is the light availability on a typical summer day near summer solstice. And as you can see, thanks to our coverage, we bring that light availability inside to about half of the maximum, which is where we want it, because about half of the maximum light is what plants can use for achieving maximum photosynthesis. And we keep it at that level throughout the day. So we change the intensity, but also the profile. And this in a more sophisticated way can be translated in water needs from the orchard that are about 60%. The gray line here is the triple cover, the regular anti-hail cover, or what would be the need in millimeters of irrigation per day, the theoretical needs for these configurations. That for the two varieties, it's apples, of course, that we're using that we have on the trial means that where we would normally be applying this amount under the hail net with 100% irrigation restitution, we have been able in 2020 to cut that in half. This is the percentage. And the same with Rosy Glow, which has a longer season, so we irrigate it for longer. We have cut down from from 215 millimeters to 111. Now,
Professor, maybe if I may, a couple of minutes more. I don't know if it's sufficient.
This is the last slide, which shows the yield data. There were no differences in yields. We were frosted out, unfortunately, so the yields are very low. But even if just compare the first line and the bottom line, fruit weight are smaller where we fully irrigate under the hail net than under the 50% restriction, but the fruit are sweeter, as these two numbers indicate, for being at the same maturity level. This is one variety, and this is the other variety with fruit size is similar, but the fruit are sweeter, and yet they are even less mature, so they will become even more sweet by the time they're eaten. So that's to finish up with the trial that's despite COVID-19 has been performing as expected, reaching all goals in the first season, and I think we will confirm those in the season underway. And the point I wish to make is this orchard now will run out of funding from the grant, but it will remain a highly, richly sensorized site that has a perfect opportunity to become a demo farm site to demonstrate the future generation of orchards that we hope to bring along. And with that, that's all I have for the day, and I will turn it back to Fabio. And thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Professor Corelli. Another very good example you bring, and another food for thought for our participants. I saw one question coming about the economic sustainability, and maybe we will keep that for the end. I would like to at least have 10 minutes at the end of the session for discussion. And so I give the floor to Professor Chris Blok from the Wageningen University, and I ask him to try to keep the presentation to close at 10 to 11. Thank you very much. Professor Blok, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I hope everybody can now see the screen I am trying to share.
Yes, it's fine.
Okay, then I'm going to start. And thank you, first of all, for the opportunity you're giving me to tell you something about work towards circular greenhouse horticulture.
Sorry, maybe you can launch it at the full screen.
Let me see what I can do.
No, it doesn't work. No problem. We can see it anyway.
Okay. Let's see. I'll continue then. I'm working as a researcher in the Wageningen University business unit for greenhouse horticulture, and about 2 years ago, the government decided that we needed to go circular with agriculture. And the first thing we did for horticulture was to do a study trying to get an idea of the flows of material which went into horticulture and the flows of material going out of horticulture. And in this figure, that's represented. And you can see that in the outer circle, the gray circle, we are using a lot of materials which are not circular, which needs to be replaced by non-circular linear, which need to be replaced by circular materials. First of all, of course, the energy we use, a lot of natural gas, and that needs to be replaced by energy from solar or wind sources or geothermal sources. We also use the gas to produce carbon dioxide to feed the plants, and that needs to be replaced by carbon dioxide we capture from air, from industry, or we produce with microbial bioreactors. Then we have oil, which we use to produce plastic products, and those are also used a lot in horticulture. And we need to replace those plastics with plastic-like materials made from plant material, bio-based materials. But of course, these plastics also need to be break down easily in the environment. So we need degradable plastics. We use a lot of minerals as fertilizers, and that's also a very linear process. So we need to replace those minerals by recapturing the minerals in plant waste, in animal waste, and in human waste. And it can be produced as a solid material, a solid organic fertilizer, but we are also producing at the moment liquid organic fertilizers, which are produced by bioreactors. And finally, we are using quite a lot of peat, which is a final source and which adds to the carbon dioxide emissions. So we want to replace that by using other organic rest materials, notably biochar as an example. And by doing that, we create a lot of opportunities for supply companies and for the horticulture industry as a whole. The second step we took was to quantify all the material streams which go into and out of greenhouse horticulture. And this is an example which is made for one crop, Phalaenopsis. And the blue line, for example, on top is indicating the amount of rainwater going into the process, the amount of groundwater going into the process. And on the other hand, on the other side, the evaporation coming out of the process, the discharge and the leakage, and the water caught in the plant material itself. So in this way, we got a full picture of what was needed. And we decided on 6 action spearheads. And one of them is energy, which was obviously also an ongoing action for the past 30 or so years. And at the moment, we are demonstrating a greenhouse run totally on electricity. And in the Dutch climate, that is quite extraordinary because some heating is still required, although we reduced the demand for heating with over 66% since 2000. This is an example of how research works into a practical application. This is a greenhouse which turns with the sun and has a curved deck. And here is a beam with solar cells which catch some of the reflected rays of sun to produce electricity. Now, this was ivory tower research, the growers said. This would never lead to anything, but within 15 years, we have producers who put a kind of lens in the glass material, allowing growers to catch some of the rays of the sun, which are not needed for plant production, on photovoltaic cells. And 2 of these greenhouses have already been commercially realized. Carbon dioxide is a little bit more difficult. We are reusing carbon dioxide from the industry, but that might change because the laws for carbon dioxide capture and rights are changing. So we are now experimenting with bioreactors, which produce not only fertilizers, but also a lot of carbon dioxide, which we can use on site in greenhouses. The third spearhead is water. Obviously, by releasing water in the environment, we also release with drainage water quite a lot of fertilizers. And here you can see an example of algal bloom, which is the result of over-fertilizing natural waters. In Holland, it is now obligatory to reuse all the drainage water, and we have developed quite a lot of technology to make this possible in a safe way. And increasingly, this turns out to be also an economical way. The fourth thing is replacing fertilizers with organic fertilizers. And this is actually a picture of a Dutch greenhouse where there is a giant microbial reactor, which is converting nitrogen-rich organic material into a liquid fertilizer. And we aim for liquid fertilizers because we want to keep using the drip irrigation systems, which bring us so much advantage. A fifth spearhead is replacing peat with other substrates, other growing material, and I'm going to go in detail in a minute. And the final one is plastics, which is something which is already produced by the industry, biodegradable, bio-based plastics. And we are only assisting here by doing some tests to find out if the degradability is actually enough in commercial composting, but not fast enough, of course, to cause problems in the greenhouse before the end of the life. Now, this is my example of a demonstration project. And actually, it's a project which starts with research and then gradually changes into demonstration. It's just one of the projects we're running. This one is aimed at developing circular growing media. And in the working part of the project, we have 4 work packages. And in each work package, we have an industry which is trying to produce a novel growing medium. Attero is the largest Dutch composter, and they are mixing wood fiber and compost into a medium potting soil. We have Den Ouden, also a large composter, and they invested in the first Dutch line for producing biochar and for horticultural only, and that's aiming at a high quality potting soil. We have a company, Mavitech, producing equipment to make biochar, and for one of the customers, they're trying to use ecochar, a biochar produced out of manure. It's not usable for horticulture, but we're trying to use it as a soil improver for bulbs. And finally, TerraFiber is collecting hemp fiber residual and turning it into a pre-shaped growing medium. That's a technical part of the research. And here, on the other hand, on the right-hand side, we have the application where 3 of Holland's largest potting soil producers are using those materials in experiments with their customers, the growers. And that's the demonstration part. Now, these are pictures. The top left shows the mixture of compost and wood fiber. And at this moment, the quality has already gone up dramatically compared to this picture of a few months ago. On the right-hand top, you can see the biochar, the first biochar produced for horticulture in Holland. The bottom left shows you the ecochar, which is quite dusty, and it's meant to be mixed with compost into soils. And here we have the hemp fiber, which is, as you can see, turned into a pre-shaped material which can compete with rock wool. Now, just to give you an idea if this is difficult or not. This is an overview just for biochar of the parameters which need to be adjusted and checked in production to get to a really acceptable product. And because of time, I will not go into the details here, but you can find them in the literature which goes with this slide. But it brings me to my conclusions. At the moment, we run several programs trying to reduce the use of final resources and change to circular. We abandon diffuse emission of all resources because that affects the environmental diversity. And we're trying to increase circularity there as well, of course. Those new materials, however, always come with their own problems. So they need new certification, new labels, quality systems, and almost all primary sources which are used to produce the new materials cannot be used as they are, but they need to be processed and valorized. So you need to do quite a lot of work because to get the material to the quality level required. And of course, all the above here requires an in-depth knowledge of what you're doing. And that ranges quite broadly, because you need to know a little bit about the global perspective to choose those actions which are the most effective. But you also need to go down to the most basic nursery practices to make sure that growers can actually use the innovations. So there is a need for cooperation from authorities to supply industry to growers, which is, I think, essential. Now, this brings me to the end of my contribution. And here you can see some of the companies involved in the part I showed you. I thank you for your attention. And of course, I'm ready for questions later on.
Thank you very much, Professor Blok. I'm really impressed by all the three presentations. I think we touched all the aspects that one can imagine, and I'm challenging here participants to spot maybe something that has not been touched by the three presenters. Thank you also for respecting the time. So we have these 10 minutes for discussion. And I will start with the one question that was introduced already by the participants, so about the economic sustainability, and this was addressed during the Professor Corelli presentation. So you show it in the last slide that this is demo. So which TRL level are you, and how do you see this question of economic sustainability?
Well, first of all, thanks for the question. It shows the haste with which I put together the presentation, because I left out the ag economists, but we have a life cycle analysis underway, which is beginning rather than ending, because the economists really want to have 2 years of data before they really make their assessments. But the answer in short is, except for the rover and the charge-discharge systems, everything else is commercial already. So TRL levels, commercial. The rover and the other system is between 7 and 8 on a scale of 9. As far as the economics of an orchard like this, well, growers, at least in Italy, are forced to install ale netting because without it, it's pointless. We are seeing increasingly the advantages of rain covers, and of course also the insect netting is becoming more and more necessary. So basically, growers are already incurring these costs. I think by showing that combining them together, they get further usefulness of these systems, brings out more economicity to the cost of purchase of these systems. And for the rover, it will replace a tractor and a sprayer by the fixed. I should say the fixed spraying system runs on the same pump and system as the irrigation system. It doesn't have a separate energy requiring system. It's just the same, and all you need to do is switch a solenoid valve between the dripping line or the sprayer. So it's much less expensive than it looks. It's basically another line and a number of emitters added. I hope that's enough, but I can give more details.
I think, by the way, this event is meant to be also a moment for B2B. So I guess participants can make contacts through the facility that is available through the PIC 2021 platform. So please make contacts directly among participants, because this is the objective. I don't see other question at the moment on the chat, but I have plenty of. So maybe from my perspective, I saw you touched about circularity. I understand from your presentation that a little bit the direction is taken from, I will say, from my humble perspective, of course, the direction is taken from a technology perspective, because technologies are there. It seems that it's a matter of putting them in the right mix, answering the right, let's say, questions for different production systems. I have a question for the other two speakers, maybe, because I think you touched about also this issue of how to embed the innovation with the end users. So for Professor Blok, how you see this connection with the industry that you are experiencing in your projects? And also maybe the same question to Professor Ferrini. How do you see the industry positioned in the frame of the direction of circularity, and particularly in this case for the horticultural sector and ornamental plant production? Professor Blok, if you want to start.
Yes, thank you very much. And as you have already seen in the presentation, in this part, I value the contribution of the supply industry very much. And the reason for that is that growers are willing to invest quite a lot of money into acute problems, but the environment is not a very acute problem for them as an entrepreneur. It's a problem for society rather than for the individual grower. And they do want to invest, but not too much. And for the industry, it's different, because they see it as an opportunity to bring new products to the growers. So that's why we chose willingly to start working with the supply industry, and then use the supply industry to bring this technology to the forerunners of the growers. And that's why we also need a demonstration part at the end of the projects.
Thank you, Professor Blok. Professor Ferrini?
Oh, yes. Oh, sorry, microphone was off. That's a good question. The position of the industry now towards sustainability is getting much better compared to a few years ago. So growers are becoming more and more aware that to be competitive, as I said in my second slide, they need to be sustainable, and also the other way on. What I feel is that, unfortunately, there's still a mismatching between research and growers. Sometimes we as researchers, we don't know what are the real needs of the producers, and on the other way, nobody comes to us to ask us about doing research on, for example, on practical things that need to be solved. Or sometimes there is like, not a good collaboration between growers and research. So we do research to publish in the very renowned international journals, but probably this research is not the research that is good for growers. So we need to talk each other much more in the near future.
Thank you also for your answer. And we have still a couple of minutes, maybe my last question, as I'm from the government, so I'm a public servant. Apart from money, what is your expectation from the public sector to help these elements. So from one side the industry, from one side the research, maybe social challenges. What do you expect from us at the local level, national, maybe European? We saw some projects that are funded by European Union. What is your wish for the future on that respect? What we can do and what is your view on that? And this is your last closing remarks, and then we stop. We will have a 5 minutes break. Please. Maybe who want to start? Professor Blok, please.
Yes, if I may, I would like the legislator to catch up with the developments, because increasingly I'm finding that I'm doing things which are possibly illegal and nobody is willing to take a decision on them. For example, if I want to bring ecochar from Germany to Holland, it is probably forbidden. Nobody knows the exact rules. Nobody wants to take the responsibility. And actually, the legislation is running behind the developments.
Very clear. Please, Professor Corelli.
Well, if I may, I would concur entirely. So in my case, fixed point spraying is in a bit of a vacuum at the moment, even though there are many examples, scientific reports stating to its effectiveness and the capacity to reduce drift and other negative aspects. So a change in legislation. Also another example, growers can produce electricity in a country like Italy, but only up to their own consumption, because if they go above that, then they're no longer a fruit producer, but they're an electricity producer. In the face of increasing difficulty for the sector to remain economic, this should be addressed, because within some limits, I don't see why, if they provide ecosystem services when they help saving water and reducing use of carbon fuels and so on, they should be, those ecosystem services should be recognized economically. So here again, the legislation can move forward.
Thank you very much. Other clear statements? And Professor Ferrini, you have the last statement.
Yeah, I totally agree with what was said by my two colleagues, and they were very, very precise in their statements. But I want to add that probably what we need is to speed up all the procedures to also to fund research, because sometimes it takes too long to have funds and to do research to solve a problem that is urgent. Sometimes it takes 3 to 4 years for like a region or the state, sometimes even from the local authorities, to set up things and to provide funds for research. This is too much, because, for example, if a pathogen of a pest comes and it starts to create damages, we cannot wait 3, 4, maybe 5 years to get money and to start doing research. That's one of the issues for me, apart from those just said by my two colleagues.
Thank you very much to the three speakers. It was really, I think, fruitful and full of interesting insight. So I close the session now. We have about 5 minutes. I will say, I don't know, I ask maybe Celia to know if we can take 5 minutes, or if we maybe have 3 minutes and we start at 11:05.
No, we take 5 minutes.
Okay. So we take 5 minutes. So we will start at 11:07. We even use the minutes. And then we will move to the next session, where we will have the visits, the field visit. It will be very interesting, because we discussed of demo farms. And then we can see something happening real in the field through this field visit. So for the participant, you can mute your camera, mute your mic, staying connected, and we will restart in 5 minutes from now. Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. I'm back. At least I am back. I don't know if participants are back as well. Maybe we wait still one short minute. Good. Because my perception of what is happening outside my room is not really good. So I see we have 55 participants at the moment, which is good. And yeah, I would say we can start. Few words to introduce the next session, which is the continuation in terms of theme, because we are still in the high-tech zero carbon footprint horticulture. We will have 2 visits, so it will work. We will run the first video, which is from the video visit to Vannucci Piante, an important nursery, ornamental nursery in Tuscany. Then we will have a small discussion with our host, and then we move to the second field visit, the Research Center for Crop Production. Maybe I ask you, yeah, good morning. I ask you to keep the mic off for the moment.
Yes. Good morning, all. I'm not Vannino, Vannuci, and I am Andrea Massaini, marketing manager of Vannucci Piante. It's a pleasure for us to show you a video that Fabio introduced. Okay.
Andrea, yes, wait a little bit, because we will start your video very soon, and then we move to the discussion, so you can maybe tell us something more about what is happening in Pistoia and in the sector. So we start. I ask my colleague Massimiliano. He is the master of videos, and I ask Massimiliano to get ready and maybe share the screen and launch the first video, which will last few minutes. It's very nice video. Both videos are nice. So, are you ready, Massimiliano? Almost? Yeah.
Buongiorno, sono Vannino, proprietario della Vannucci Piante, azienda storica del vivaismo pistoiese fondata da mio nonno nel 1938. È un grande piacere potervi guidare in questa visita virtuale dell'azienda, in cui vi mostreremo alcuni nostri progetti innovativi. Prima di entrare nel vivo della visita, alcuni cenni sulle peculiarità dell'azienda. Nel settore del vivaismo possiamo essere considerati un'azienda leader a livello mondiale, con relazioni commerciali in oltre 60 paesi. Possediamo 545 ettari di vivai di varia tipologia ed un catalogo di oltre 3.000 varietà di piante. Siamo un'azienda che ha sempre puntato sull'innovazione e nel tempo siamo divenuti un riferimento per il territorio regionale e la filiera del vivaismo, facilitando così l'adozione di soluzioni innovative in tutto il comparto. Il nostro modello di produzione vivaistica nel comprensorio di Pistoia si basa su una forte interconnessione tra operatori che si specializzano in alcune fasi culturali e di specie, ma che lavorano nell'ambito di una filiera che fa capo a Vannucci Piante. In questo modo le innovazioni, in maniera originale e naturale, si disseminano nel comprensorio vivaistico. Il tema della sostenibilità ambientale e della possibilità di operare una filiera cosiddetta carbon neutral è certamente una delle nostre priorità. A rafforzare il ruolo di dimostratore del vivaio, oltre a quanto sopra citato, abbiamo attivato il Nursery Campus e Vannucci Zero. Sebbene non possiamo considerarci un'azienda dimostrativa nella sua accezione più stretta, questi due progetti ci consentono di svolgere questo ruolo in modo molto funzionale.
Il Nursery Campus ha l'obiettivo di far crescere il settore vivaistico attraverso la cultura del verde nelle nuove generazioni. Un'area attrezzata per la formazione delle persone con aule e spazi esterni che facilitano l'apprendimento con la combinazione di tecnologia e natura per l'accrescimento delle potenzialità personali. Grazie al campus possiamo aggiornare i professionisti sulle nuove tendenze del settore, anche attraverso la condivisione delle esperienze internazionali, avviare e gestire progetti di ricerca volti al miglioramento dell'ambiente, formare giovani ad alto potenziale per l'accrescimento culturale delle aziende. Il tutto viene fatto con nuovi metodi e nuove metodologie che mettono al centro la persona.
Sono Enzo Gramigni, responsabile di produzione della Vannucci Piante e siamo all'interno di uno dei nostri vivai a impatto zero ecosostenibile. Una delle caratteristiche più innovative di questo vivaio è sicuramente la gestione idrica e aggiungerei anche il controllo delle erbe infestanti. I nostri sistemi di irrigazione sono in grado di raccogliere fino al 95% delle acque drenate non assorbite in casse di espansione che, oltre ad assicurarci la totale autonomia idrica, mitigano i rischi di alluvioni e di dissesti idrogeologici. Inoltre, dopo anni di sperimentazioni condotte anche in collaborazione con istituzioni scientifiche, abbiamo adottato una pacciamatura naturale a base di granuli di scarti di legno che inibisce la crescita di erbe infestanti senza ricorrere a diserbanti chimici. La stessa funzione è svolta dai manti antialga traspiranti e permeabili utilizzati negli impianti di vasetteria. I pali dei filari dei nostri nuovi appezzamenti sono a filiera corta, prodotti con legno di castagno dell'Appennino pistoiese, di provenienza autorizzata e controllata dal Corpo Forestale regionale. I nostri vasi sono prodotti prevalentemente con plastica riciclata. La nostra azienda guarda sempre al futuro ed abbiamo molte idee per continuare ad innovare il settore. Uno dei temi più rilevanti è quello della logistica. Considerate le dimensioni del business e il numero delle aree in cui coltiviamo, stiamo pensando ad investimenti per un progetto pilota per la centralizzazione e l'automazione delle operazioni di carico delle piante, dove applicare tecnologie che possano ridurre i tempi e i costi delle operazioni, garantendo al contempo il rispetto dell'ambiente e una maggior sicurezza per i lavoratori.
Speriamo che la visita sia stata di vostro interesse, ci auguriamo di trovare delle partnership interessanti per poter portare avanti i nostri progetti.
So, thank you to our colleagues from Vannucci Piante and for this video, for hosting us. Just a small reminder, this video has been possible thanks to the Nefertiti project, which is an Horizon 2020 project where also Tuscany is partner. Now, we open the discussion with our hosts. So we have Andrea and Professor Ferrini that should be available. You can open your mics. And if I'm not mistaken,
sorry, Fabio.
Yeah, please.
Sorry, I prefer, Mr. Vannucci is not here. I prefer that you help us to take any question, and later you can respond to the people that ask anything, because we are very technical, and I prefer don't in this moment. I prefer that Vannucci give the answer.
Okay. So I don't know if there are questions for you from the chat. As said, we take questions from the chat, and maybe I don't see questions for the moment. I may have some questions, and I don't know if you want to answer, or maybe Professor Ferrini can also help to give us a little bit more insight of the positioning of your nursery in the area. So you mentioned in the video that you are integrated in a value chain, which is a broad value chain with other partners. Maybe can you or Professor Ferrini tell a little bit more as to the situation or where you operate, so the context where you operate? I don't know if this can be something that you can answer.
I may try, even though I'm an external person from Vannucci, but anyway, I think they are working to shift to a more circular economy, because most of the products, as Enzo Gramigni said, come from the local, from the area around the nursery, especially from the Apennines. So they use compost, which is made in the Pistoia area, and they also use chipwood for mulching the pots that comes from the wood that is not cut. The trees are not cut to make chipwood, but they are the discard, the discarded material from the wood processing. And so all the discarded material can be used as a mulching material in a very sustainable way, because it's not doesn't cost too much, and it works very good in terms of control the weeds, in terms of keeping the substrates moisture. That means to use less water than in the past, and also it has a weeding capacity, and so in that nursery they have shown there is no use of herbicide, for example. There is a very change of paradigm, because in the past the nurseries uses a lot of herbicide, but that was many years ago. Now they're all shifting to a less or no use of chemical herbicide to control the weeds in both in the open field cultivation and the container cultivation, because the chemicals can pollute the environment, but also they cost a lot of money. So the less you use, the more money you save, and you can invest money in other things in your business.
Yeah, thank you. You will see another question coming in the chat. Let me take it again. What kind of relationship of partnership Vannucci Piante has with research or academics to solve their technical issue? Regional project or national project, European project? Can you give us a little bit more insight on which kind of relationship you have and which kind of projects are you carrying out? So, which is also the funder of your projects? I don't know if Mr. Massaini is still with us and can take this question, or maybe this, as it is about connection with research and academics, I don't know if could be even Professor Ferrini that can tell us, at least from the perspective of the research. You want to try to answer?
As far as I know, okay, Andrea is here.
Okay, yeah.
No, Fabio, help us, and Francesco, if you can give you an answer, because I am alone.
Okay.
I'm nothing. Enzo and Vannino, and
okay.
If you
Vannucci Piante has other nurseries in the area, they obtained funds in the past, mainly at regional from the Tuscany region, but also they participated in some national project funded by the Ministry of Agriculture and Forest. And I have participated directly or indirectly to these projects, because I spent several years working in Milan. So I came back in Florence after a few years. And but I know that they participate, especially in the progetti integrati di filiera, and also I think they have participated to some PSR fundings and so on. I don't know if they have participated to some European funds, but I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay, for translating, maybe to those who are not familiar with the Progetti Integrati di Filiera, they are mainly rural development measures from the region. Yeah, no problem. And maybe I see there is something more coming. the question is this question is still from Nicolas Fejean from Végépolis Valley, which is a cluster, a French cluster. And this is, what is the main motivation to start this strategy of neutral footprint for a company as Vannucci Piante? So what is the motivation that you started this? Is a manager vision or market requirement and expectation? How do you give value to this strategy with your products and sales? So what is the reason behind? It is a manager, or it is a requirement to move in that direction? And how do you value this process in your marketing? And I think maybe this is the last question, because we are running out of time otherwise. And maybe if there are other questions, we will take afterward when we have the final part. Can I don't know if Andrea can answer this.
Perhaps Andrea can answer in Italian if it's easier for him.
Yeah, if it's easier, you can answer in Italian, and we will help you. We assist. Have you got hai capito la domanda, Andrea? Open the mic. Apri il microfono.
Sì, scusami, mi dai un attimo un assist in traduzione?
Sì, è una scelta manageriale di andare verso il carbon neutral, o è stato un motivo legato a requisiti normativi o di altra natura? E come utilizzate per il marketing questo fatto di essere carbon neutral?
Allora, noi diciamo non usiamo di solito il marketing per questo tipo di procedure sostenibili, perché per noi sono processi abbastanza naturali che abbiamo innescato ancor prima che le normative europee introducessero questo tipo di atteggiamento. E quindi diciamo che come nella sostenibilità, come nei vivai ecosostenibili e come per le attenzioni alle acque reflue, il vivaio già da anni sta lavorando su questi temi.
Thank you, Andrea. I translate. So to answer the question, this is really their vision, and they anticipated even the times for going in that direction. So they don't really use this as a market strategy. So they don't brand this at the moment, because they think that's a normal process going towards sustainability. I hope this answered the question. I think we are close to the end of the session, because 15 minutes. So we had 15 minutes for that. I don't know if you want to also give some additional statements, and then we close and we move to the next video. And I don't know if Celia has something to say to us as general manager of this event.
No, I think we're good to move to the next video, and we can keep time, of course, for further questions after the next field visit.
Okay. So thank you. So let's say, please stay available for the last part of the session, because we will have still time for discussion and debate with the participants. And again, I ask to close the mics for those who are not requested now to talk. And I ask again my colleague Massimiliano to start the next video, which is the video at the Research Center for Crop Production, CRPV, and Italian Cooperative of Nurseries in Emilia-Romagna. Please, Massimiliano.
Siamo al Polo Tecnologico di Tebano, entità unica nella regione Emilia-Romagna, che unisce 10 organizzazioni che comprendono l'imprenditoria agricola e agroindustriale, i vivaisti, gli enti certificatori, le organizzazioni per la valorizzazione dei prodotti, gli enti di ricerca e sperimentazione, gli enti deputati alla didattica e alla formazione. Astra Innovazione e Sviluppo è una società che attua nel campo della ricerca, sperimentazione, divulgazione e assistenza tecnica nei settori agricolo e agroindustriale. La società è controllata dal Centro Ricerche e Produzioni Vegetali CRPV, la cui base sociale rappresenta il 70% della produzione agricola vegetale della regione, il quale a sua volta è deputato a individuare le soluzioni per soddisfare i fabbisogni di innovazione, ricerca e sviluppo della base sociale. Le 3 aziende agricole di Astra CRPV a Imola, Faenza e Cesena sono attrezzate con macchinari, frutteti, serre, coltivazioni di ortaggi e di culture estensive, stazioni meteorologiche, nonché laboratori di analisi e trasformazione, idonei per svolgere attività sperimentali dimostrative per conto dei soci del CRPV e dei privati che ne richiedono i servizi. Le 3 aziende ospitano anche attività di demofarm, luoghi di incontri tra l'offerta e la domanda di tecniche e tecnologie innovative per il settore agricolo, concretizzata nel 2020 con una manifestazione che ha visto il coinvolgimento di 18 imprese ICT e la partecipazione di oltre 80 professionisti delle filiere agroalimentari regionali e nazionali.
Il progetto MASPES ha come obiettivo principale quello di brevettare varietà di elevata qualità organolettica e resistenti alle principali malattie sia per il pesco che per l'albicocco, malattie come ad esempio la sciarca e la moniliosi. Questo in un'ottica di maggiore sostenibilità delle nostre produzioni future. Il progetto è un progetto che nasce all'interno delle nostre istituzioni pubbliche, quindi le nostre università, e ad oggi è totalmente finanziamento privato, che deriva dalle organizzazioni dei produttori e dei vivaisti, diciamo così, del territorio. Questi beneficiano dei risultati e condividono con noi la strategia di selezione. Manteniamo comunque una connessione con tutte le università di ricerca interessate al nostro progetto per condividere con loro le strategie, gli obiettivi e i risultati.
I laboratori di Astra Innovazione e Sviluppo svolgono le loro attività per conto dei costitutori, genetisti, vivaisti e ditte sementiere. I retailers, come la grande distribuzione organizzata, fornendo un servizio finalizzato al miglioramento della qualità di tutta la filiera. Nel caso di MASPES, pesche e albicocche sono analizzate dal punto di vista merceologico, valutando forma e integrità, da un punto di vista chimico-fisico, valutando colore, durezza, grado zuccherino e acidità, e dal punto di vista sensoriale attraverso analisi descrittive e di gradevolezza. Da queste analisi otteniamo informazioni essenziali per i costitutori retailers sulle caratteristiche, la conservabilità nel tempo, l'evoluzione del profilo sensoriale e l'accettabilità di prodotti ortofrutticoli.
Il Centro Attività Vivaistiche, CAV, è una cooperativa che associa 26 aziende vivaistiche, tra le più importanti in Italia e nel mondo. Qual è l'obiettivo del CAV? È assistere i propri associati, questi vivaisti, per migliorare la qualità delle produzioni vivaistiche, delle loro produzioni vivaistiche. Come? Partecipando ai programmi di certificazione genetico-sanitaria del materiale vivaistico. Ed è per questo motivo che siamo di riferimento per il settore e annualmente siamo visitati da tantissime delegazioni. Chi viene a trovarci? Quindi in quali casi si opera Demo Farm? Parliamo di professori e studenti universitari, parliamo di vivaisti, di delegazioni ministeriali, chiaramente non solo italiane ma anche estere, e di centri di ricerca. Alcuni nostri soci vivaisti partecipano attivamente al progetto di ricerca MASPES e anche noi in parte siamo coinvolti in questo progetto. Infatti, quando nell'ambito del progetto di miglioramento genetico vengono individuate selezioni interessanti di pesco e albicocco, queste vengono subito consegnate al nostro laboratorio di fitopatologia. Dobbiamo infatti verificare che si tratti di materiali sani e non malati, per cui eseguiamo tutta una serie di controlli per verificare che non siano presenti virus, viroidi, fitoplasmi, batteri, funghi, nematodi. Al termine dei controlli, durano 1 anno e mezzo, se il semaforo è verde, cioè se la pianta è sana, può entrare nel circuito di certificazione. Le piante vengono trasferite nelle serre di conservazione, nelle nostre screen house, da cui partono tutte le moltiplicazioni successive, fino ad arrivare ai vivaisti che produrranno centinaia di migliaia di piante sane vendute ai produttori.
Il futuro del polo di Tebano sarà quello di condividere conoscenze, attività e materiali vegetali in ambito extranazionali. Questo per rendere maggiore accessibilità dei nostri risultati alle imprese. Lo vogliamo fare incrementando il nostro network internazionale con enti di ricerca ed enti fornitori di servizi alle imprese stesse.
So, welcome back after this other very nice video. In this case, for the follow-up discussion, we have Mr. Nicola Minerva from Astra CRPV, and Mr. Marco Pancaldi from the CAV. You can switch on your mics, and I know you have maybe something to support your visit, and I ask who is running maybe the few slides that you have to launch it. Thank you, Celia.
Thank you, Celia. I'm Nicola Minerva. I'm the director of Astra director, as here to present what we do. You have an idea of what we do because you saw it in the video. But to add some information before the general question, it's nice to show you the way we do the project. Celia, go ahead, please. So we think that a rational agriculture is the base. The base of the rational agriculture is the knowledge. So knowing what happened in the field, sharing experience and opinion with a skilled professional, and apply innovative, effective, and efficient solution are the basis to do a new and sustainable agriculture. This approach is Astra CRPV approach. How we do that? With the new techniques and products, such as experimental test with low impact solution capable to solving both a traditional problem and new emergency problem. Otherwise, or the identification of problem and solution together with the professional of the different agriculture sector. On the other side, we improve the new technologies, promoting the spread of the new, let's say, 4.0 technologies in order to obtain a more accurate and timely and effective decision for the producer about the intervention. At least, but not last, biodiversity protection, exploring and conserving the biodiversity in search of resistance and, let's say, advantageous characteristics for an agriculture capable of facing the climate changes and the new challenges. Celia, go ahead, please. Going back to the new new techniques and products, so we are a test facility certified from our ministry in order to carry out agronomical, let's say, registrative studies on pesticides, herbicides, and new agriculture product. Let's say we do that work in line of European directives in order to reduce the impact of the chemical. And we do that funded by private companies, such as the company that will send the products, and on the other side, on the public administration or our stakeholders that want to know the more efficient and sustainable way to defend their crops. On the other way, we are working with the definition of the better agronomic techniques in order to, let's say, identify the more suitable variety for the organic farm or for the low impact agriculture. We own farms, as you see, we own 3 farms, we own equipment, and we have technical personnel, let's say, trained and updated in order to do this job. All the results, or part of the results that we obtain in the test, are sharing together with all the experience that the technical may take from the field. I mean the technical of the different, let's say, big cooperative or big organization of producers that exist in Emilia-Romagna. So at the base of the coordination, there is a data sharing, there is a skill sharing, and a decisional support system for the agriculture that are always updated about what happened in the field and which decisions are recommended to face the problem. Celia, go ahead, please. About the new technologies, we are a demo farm, and through a European project named DIVA project, we
touch and may show our farms and our capacity to organize the events. We had an important demo day in 2020 where about 2018, to be more specific, let's say technology producer meet our agriculture reality. Single farm, cooperative, organization of producer, technician of the public administration stay in this event that show them what the world, or let's say the region or the Italian system is doing in the new agriculture. There was probes, there was drone, there was machinery to new machinery for reduce the impact of agriculture. These demo days this in 2021 will be hosted in a fair, so will be inside a fair, but we want to repeat even in our farms. Go ahead, Celia, please. Last but not least, we talk about biodiversity. So we implement several projects aimed to the conservation and the enhancement of the local cultivar concerning vineyard, olives, cereal, fruit, and so on, in order to collect, to organize collector field or network of this, let's say, patrimonium. Maintaining the spaces that are not often very present on the market allow to preserve gene characteristic useful for facing the new adversity or the climate changing. So exploring the genome of species already adapted to local climate and soil allows to identify which characteristics determine the sustainability. It means the ability to grow with without or with low intense input, such as fertilizer or water. That's all. Celia, next slide, please. Thank you for your attention, and I'm here to give an answer to your question. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Minerva. I think there is still something from Mr. Pancaldi, isn't it? So, yeah, perfect. Thank you, Celia.
Thank you too, and good morning to everybody. I am Marco Pancaldi. Do you hear me well, Fabio?
Yes, you can go on.
Okay. I'm director of Centro Attività Vivaistiche. As I said in the previous video, we are an association of nurseries. Please, Celia, go ahead. Okay. Which is our main goal? Qualification of nursery plant material. So the aim is to produce healthier plants, no virus, no viroids, no fungi, no phytoplasma, and no bacteria. Which is the take-home message, which is the axiom. If producer, fruit grower use healthier plants, these are more vigorous. So they will use less pesticide, less water, and less fertilizer. That means fruit culture sustainability, important. To do this, in CAV, we have a very important laboratory for genetic analysis and phytopathological analysis. We have many recognition from our Ministry of Agriculture, from Accredia, and from the European Plant Protection Office. We are the main, we have an important nuclear and propagation center recognized by the Ministry of Agriculture. Using these, the laboratory and the propagation center, we can supply pre-basic and basic propagating material to nursery, means palm fruit, stone fruit, and strawberry and olive. Healthier plants are then produced by the nursery and sold to the farmers. Next. So the goal is improving the sanity, the quality of the nursery plant material. In this picture, you can see the different level of quality of nursery material. The entry level, the basic level is CSC quality. Then you have community certified material, and in the top, our national system for genetic and sanitary certification. It is elite production system, and we are working on this part of qualification. Next. Just a picture showing you one of our screen houses in which are held, you can see plants of actinidia, plum and olive in this case. Next. In Italy, we are the most important conservation center repository, and in Europe, together with NAC2INBO and CTFL, we are the most important center for conservation. You can see that more than 3,000 plants are held in our repository, referring to more than 1,000 accessions. You can consider that these are the plants from which start the multiplication. Over 90% of plants in our regions are coming from these initial plants. Next. We have a lot of interconnection with university and a lot of projects ongoing at CAV. One is with dealing with digital droplet PCR. It is really very sensitive technique for detection mainly of virus. And it's very important to test candidate plants, so plants entering in our certification system. Next, this is, sorry, go back to the picture. This first project is performed together with CNR Ivalsa, Professor Lambardi. Another ongoing project is on next generation sequencing technique applied to pre-screening of candidate plants. All virus and viroids are tested in one shot. We have collaboration with the University of Udine, Professor Testolin, on this task. Finally, the other ongoing project is a cryoconservation project. We want to create a backup copy of our material stored at a very low temperature. This project is in collaboration with Ivalsa, Professor Lambardi. Next. I thank you, everybody, for giving me the possibility of sharing with you our activity. And this is a picture of the staff working with me.
Thank you very much to both of you for the two presentation, and you went a little bit more in the details of what is going on in your center. We had two different visits. The first one was a visit to a business farm, so they are business people, business person, and so they approach the innovation from the angle of businesses. In the second, sorry. Yeah, it was my fault. my mic was up. In the second case, we have really a demo farm from the point of view of, let's say, of public body and with this goal in mind. Maybe I don't know if there are questions from the public, from the participants. I have maybe one general question that Okay, we have one. This is, what do you think of the living lab approach? So this is question, maybe this is quite academic concept. So maybe I will say colleagues from CAV or CRPV can answer this.
What do you mean with living?
Maybe we ask. This question was from Nicolas. Maybe you can better explain what do you mean with this. I asked the Nicolas to maybe. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for giving me the mic. I'm Nicolas from France. I'm from Agri Sud-Ouest, and well, we are. I have the feeling that the European Commission at the moment is very sensitive to the living lab approach, and we are talking a lot about this. I think that there will be most probably some call for project dedicated to living labs for including living lab for agriculture. And for me, the idea of living lab is that not only you can experiment things in fields and demonstration sites, but also you involve different stakeholders, including some citizens or maybe some communities and so on. So it's a much more complicated approach, but still I have the feeling that there's something to do about this. So I just wanted to have your point of view about this.
Yeah, maybe if I can complement, because what your question was really close to my question, and it is about how do you see the role of this demo farm against the actual demand for that from the stakeholders, which is a little bit connected to the concept of living labs anyway, because you need the participation of the society.
May I try to give an answer? Consider that as we show in the video, we have 3 farms and we have about 55 hectares of experimental field. Yeah, because our farm are not for production, are only for experimental field. In our farm, we have genetic improvement of peach and apricot, as you see in the Maspers project. We have let's say testing of new variety of vineyard. We have testing of I don't know, horticulture and vegetables and cereals and new techniques and so on and so on. So if I understood Nicola's point of view of live lab, well, our farms are live labs where private or public stakeholder, so service or project, are implemented in the field. Is it correct?
Yeah. I think you are correct, Mr. Minerva, and I think that the idea of the living lab is that you can challenge indeed the society, the users, and I think we should elaborate on this, because this will be a great an increasing demand about this, and I know that Grazia also has a point of view on this. So I think we can give the mic to Grazia to complete this.
Yeah, maybe please. Yeah,
Fabio.
Yeah.
If I can say something.
Yes, before giving the floor to Grazia. Yeah.
We have a lot of relation with, CAV is in Faenza, in a city, and there are a lot of connection with schools, and many students and scholarship comes and visit our laboratory. The mission in this case is not to reach our clients, but to involve people, common people. So the young people means schools, also elementary school, for instance, to visit our reality and to get closer to the our research activity. So maybe this can be a kind of living lab. Sorry, maybe it's correct.
If I may, sorry, Celia. If I may, we are entering a discussion where I think things are not clear even at European and international level, because around this concept of living labs, I see now there is also another question from Angela. What is the difference between Digital Innovation Hub and living lab? I think this, I don't know if we have experts in the room. Maybe, of course, we have, but maybe it's not really the scope of this session to enter in the details that are sometimes difficult to difficult concepts.
Maybe,
so I would like to give now, maybe Celia, if it's a communication, important communication, before giving the floor to Grazia.
No, I just wanted to say that I think Marco and Nicola already are a living lab, already work with citizens, already open the doors to the various stakeholders. So I think it is just a semantic issue around buzzwords and concepts that are not really easy to understand. So for sure, you are a demo farm and you're also a living lab. You're not a digital innovation hub. That's a different role completely. And Angela, perhaps we could discuss this later on, but that's another good question, different concept altogether.
Yeah, and so maybe we can say that living labs can be a service of a digital innovation hub, to say it broadly. And maybe Grazia, if you want to say something to clarify.
Thank you very much to give me the floor. I am Maria Grazia Tomasini from CRPV in Cesena, and I take occasion to say two words related to living labs that Nicola was launching on the table. Well, as Fabio said, effectively, Astra and CRPV are a living lab. Living lab in our meaning and its general meaning is a place where experimentation and innovation systems are applied, but is also a place where stakeholders can go and can live together with researchers and with actors applying innovation, can be in contact. So it's we think in our experience, due to the fact that we have a very strong link with a lot of stakeholders in our territories, that this contact, this interaction is very, very crucial to transfer innovation to practical action, to the practical application in the ground, so in the fields and to the farmers. It is very important also to have a contact with students and with institutions, of course, because the interaction is very, very essential also for the educational point of view, but also for the governance point of view of the territory. And this interconnection is creating a co-creation of actions that in a living lab it's much easier to have in a practical way. So of course a living lab is a place where this kind of interaction can become more applied, more concrete, and easy to see and to discuss on, I mean. So we think that the concept of living lab, it becoming even, it was always important in the past. We had a very long experience on that, but we think that it's becoming more and more important even now and in future, especially considering that the innovation is very fast and there are a lot of things that are changing day by day. And to bring this innovation to the application of them, it become very, very important to have in concrete contact daily, we say.
Thank you, Grazia, for this detailed analysis of the concept. We see there are also some other direction. I know that we have still maybe we can keep the discussion for afterward, because we have still one presentation which should help us to put the focus on another with a different, slightly different angle. And I will invite Mr. Frank Milon de la Cour to present, and it's a presentation about rationalizing the use of resources to produce medical cannabis in a controlled environment. So please, the floor is yours. I guess you have even some slides to support your presentation.
Yeah. Thanks to giving me the floor. I will just up. Do you see my screen now? And
yes.
PowerPoint?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm Frank Milon from Delel company specialized into lighting, artificial intelligence, and drugs development based on medical cannabis. So our focus today is on our industrial complex for research and production for medical cannabis. Our angle is to try to optimize the consumption of resources for high-tech indoor production. So we are basically trying to reduce all the consumption. So from the substrate that we want to eliminate from our production methods, and we have a big part of the consumption which is made by the lighting in that indoor environment. So we are developing a lighting technology with artificial intelligence and special algorithm to follow the plant development and to optimize the cultivation itinerary to try to find the best spectrum and intensity. So in terms of intensity and spectrum, to reduce our consumption. So that's our first angle, really, because it's as you can imagine, the indoor, and as you know, the indoor production can be quite power consuming. And the first thing to do is to manage to really optimize the consumption from the lighting point of view. And also in terms of biosourcing the industrial site itself, we are making so you see you see our future complex is now we are expecting to make that complex in soil, so from with the ground itself, that we will take around 30% of the ground that we need to remove from the field we will build that complex. So the wall that you can see on the 3D picture is made with the ground itself. So we really integrate the natural and ecological development of our project from the ground. Other topic of optimization to reduce for environmental impact, it's to reuse the rainwater from the roof and to use it for cultivation. Also, we will take all the water that is generated by the plants that we will also reintegrate into the cultivation. To use all our fibers through local channels for other agricultural purposes, and on the next stage for production capacity, we will also add greenhouse on the rooftop to use the heat from the lighting in the indoor lighting into the greenhouses. And also thanks to the property of the ground wall, we will also have a really high insulating building, so we will reduce a lot that the problem that can come from badly insulated building. Or we are also really involved into the creation of a cluster around medicinal plants here in Angers. So we are based in Angers, the specialized region on plants production, and we are working with academics, and we want to improve that the partnership with local and European companies to really make to emerge a cluster on medicinal plant production and new medicinal plant production that can basically now source from foreign countries and far away from here, that for a better management of the quality and reproducibility of the production for specific markets such as pharmaceutics or cosmetics, and to build a strong cluster on medicinal plants. So thank you. That will be all for me. So if you have any questions, I will be happy to answer.
Thank you, Frank, for the presentation. I think you brought back the issue of carbon neutrality, and from another angle, from another kind of production. I don't know if there are other suggestions or questions from the audience. I see some comments here, some explanation of the three concepts of Living Lab, Digital Innovation Hub, and the Field Lab from Greenport, West Holland. I think that's a good classification of the three things. And maybe I don't know if there are some volunteers to break the ice and to intervene. I have a couple of questions, maybe because we have heard in the different interventions during the morning that we have some common challenges. Those challenges are known very well. So water, I see water, energy, and use of production inputs, let's say, the optimizing the use of production. And we've heard in the morning also that it's not just at the production side, but we have also the logistics. So what is after, let's say, after the production, to have sustainability, overall sustainability? My question is a very broad question, and maybe some of you can answer from your experience as demo. How do you see the aggregation of these common challenges to create impact from the let's say practitioner side and research side? So how we can mobilize. Of course, clusters are doing so, but how we can aggregate this at the broader level to have more impact maybe on our activities in terms of course innovation and of course in terms of demonstration. So how we can grow in terms of demonstration for aggregating the value and the needs. I don't know if my question makes sense, and if someone want to try to answer or react to that.
Fabio, are you asking Marco and Nicola to answer?
Yes, I think maybe Marco and Nicola are best placed because they run this demo farm, and maybe
they can expand on the concept of the Tebano Technological and Scientific Park, because I think that's a good example of how to build that demonstration capacity. So perhaps Marco or Nicola.
Okay, let's try anyway. Here in Tebano, you know, we have about 10 different organizations working together and living together in experimental, demonstrative, divulgation, education, and so on. We are all together in that. For you, an example, we have the third year of the university in enology, yeah? But the guys that are going to the university, they came to our laboratory, for example, to observe what is the microvinification. But not only, they may go to the other laboratory to do the sensorial testing. Yeah, so we are sharing our experience from one to the other one. If we need some, let's say, inoculum from our trial that maybe in a regional project they ask for, we will go to Marco and ask him, please, do you have something to do, or are you able to prepare this inoculum for, let's say, bacteriosis of walnut? He prepared, and so on and so on. So we are in all together on this point of view. And as we explained in the video, first of all, we are a demonstration farms, because we are not only demonstrating techniques, but collaboration. Now we are all together here and we are sharing our competence and we skill in the Emilia-Romagna region. Tomorrow, we want to do this in Europe or maybe in the world. I give an answer to your question? Or
yeah,
not?
I think you gave more than an answer. You gave me some additional food for thought, because what you are saying is probably something that we still need to work to have this demonstration capacity at cross-border level, because we are still focusing on our own environment and innovation ecosystems locally, which I find quite normal, because this is the first place where you look at, and where if you have a cluster or a needs, normally this is local. So I wonder how public intervention, of course we have a European Union helping this, because we have programs that help to connect the European innovation ecosystems. We have through research program or innovation program, we have support to connect let's say experiences that are far from them in conventional system. Is that enough? Should we do something more from our own ecosystem? So locally, how do you see this perception of integration in European dimension, international dimension, from the local ecosystem, and how a demo case can become demo not just locally but internationally? Maybe I rephrase a little bit the question. I don't know if you still want to answer this, because I guess it's not easy, but maybe someone, even someone in the among participants can have the skills or the vision for that.
But towards part of the answer, you already part of the question you already answered. You mentioned the programs of European Union like LIFE or Horizon 2020, Farm to Forks, and so on and so on. No? So we are participating to some project and we want to participate to this project. This is on the research, experimental and demonstration point of view. On the other point of view is a regulatory point of view. You know that more and more regulatory level is a European level. So if active ingredient is admitted in Italy, is admitted in Spain, is admitted in France, is admitted in Greece, and so on. So our legislation is, let's say, is crossing the border, yeah, as is normal if we want to have a European Union, as we have. So the local problem are European problem, yes, they are. Because maybe what you see in Tebano, you don't have only in Tebano, you may have the same problem with another approach, with another point of view, with another terms, maybe in Holland, or maybe in Belgium, or maybe in France, or maybe, I don't know, in Morocco, in Tunisia, in Argentina. We are living in a global world, so if we want to reduce the impact of the plastic, for example, we have to learn how to reduce it in Italy, but not only in Italy. Do you agree with me?
Yeah, we can of course agree on that, and I see also some additional comments coming from the chat, and this is from Agri Southwest Innovation. And it's quite straightforward. So what is the biggest challenge for the next years to develop high-tech zero carbon footprint in addition to all your experimentations? It's not easy to answer, but what is the biggest challenge? So what do you see? Is it possible for you to take this? Maybe there is. Again, Grazia, maybe if or Nicola, who the two? For me, it's maybe ladies first. So Grazia, please.
Thank you. I don't want to take too much space on your floor, but just a comment. I think that the big challenge is to reduce or to reach an high-tech zero carbon footprint is in agriculture, for our experience, is to reach this goal, but at the same time to maintain the sustainability of the production. Because we have still to consider that to make agriculture, to produce fruits, grape or vegetables, it is not an easy job. And considering the general reduction of products available for producers, and at the same time to reduce the carbon footprint aspects is a very big challenges, because at the end we have to consider that sustainability is not only an environmental sustainability, but in our point of view is also an economical sustainability and the social sustainability. That means the sustainability of the farms. And we have also to take that in mind, because to reduce the inputs, to reduce the use of machinery that are causing, of course, carbon footprint impact at the same time, it's a very big challenging when we have to deal with the yield of the producers, of the farmers. So we have to consider this equilibrium that is a very, very precarious equilibrium so far, and is becoming even more important in the coming years, because the problems are still on the ground, And if the farmer has to solve problem, they have to make good practices for sure. So the big challenge is to find new best practices that can allow, however, also the environmental and economical sustainability of the agricultural systems in general.
Thank you, Maria Grazia. So if I take it correctly, the challenge is balancing the technical capacity with the economic capacity then of those producing and using the technology that allow this high-tech zero carbon footprint. This, I don't know if our colleagues, maybe if Professor Ferrini is still with us, because I have maybe. Yeah, good. I have a question for you. Maybe, I don't know, even Vannucci, I know that they had some problems in the center, and they could not participate as foreseen, as expected, and that's unfortunate. Maybe my question is this: we have a good practice there with a nursery that is already testing zero impact for water and other aspects of the production. How do you see that from an academic perspective in terms of adoption from others? So if we say that they are using this, I don't know, for a certain percentage of their holding, how do you expect this to evolve in the next years? Is it something that is possible to predict, and how, of course, this demo capacity can help to speed up in case?
I think that the road to be followed is that to go toward the zero impact of any kind of activity, not just the nursery activity. So I think that all the chain, all the supply chain should be at zero impact, because sometimes, you produce plants with a very low impact technology, but then you use trucks that are polluting the environment, or maybe the material you have bought is produced with a very high carbon emission. So I think that all the chain should be a zero impact, or as low as possible impact. But I don't think that we can go backward. We have to go forward in this direction. Probably in the future, you will be competitive only if you will be sustainable. Until now, nobody probably checked your production chain and your production impact. Now, like the people check the label in the supermarket about the product they're buying, probably in the next future, also the municipality, I'm talking about Italy, the CAM and the green procurement would check also the production chain of the nursery product. So there is no way. We have to go in that direction, and I think that Vannucci, like other nurseries in Pistoia and also in other parts of Italy, they're going in that direction. There is no other way. There is no option, in my opinion. And research is also helping them to find the best way to get to the target they want to get, that is zero impact.
Sorry, following up on that, we have a question from Nicolas Fejean from Vegepolis. He said, zero carbon footprint objective is possible without a big switch to organic production and short circuit food management. So is it necessary to embed this organic production system and the short circuit? So close to production.
It helps a lot. It helps a lot. It speeds up all the process going organic, and it's not the only solution, but it's probably the biggest part of the solution. So reusing material, using compost which is produced locally, We had done a lot of research in the past about using compost for container production and also for in-field production with very good results. And yeah, I think I agree with Nicolas Fejan, and probably it's not possible without going organic to have the zero impact. We have to reduce the emission anyway.
Yeah.
So organic, it's a lot, but it's not enough.
Yeah, so there is already something. Someone has Grazia Maria Grazia commenting the same. So it's not the only solution.
Yeah, yeah, same. Yeah, I agree.
And maybe one more comments or from my side. How do you see this approach of zero carbon that is also, of course, requested now by the direction requested also with the strategy at the European level in the global positioning? So it will be fair competition at international level. Is this giving us really a competitive advantage on markets in the future, or could be something that will put Europe and us a little bit in difficulties? But how do you see that in the long perspective? And this is for everyone that won't answer from previous experience that you showed.
Just very brief. I think that if the European Union and the local authorities will help this transition with a change in the legislation, probably going to zero carbon emission will be the winning strategy. Zero emission, actually, some organic nurseries, they stock carbon, so they're not just zero emission, but they are negative emission, meaning that they are producing oxygen and storing CO2. So their production is it's helping the environment to reduce also the CO2 concentration in the atmosphere. So we should consider also these. Sometimes there is a restriction. There are restrictions by the local municipalities to enlarge, to expand the nursery activity because they think that nursery are polluting the environment. That could be true in the past. It's not true now. It's true the opposite. The nursery activities are actually improving the environment, at least in terms of CO2 concentration in the atmosphere and oxygen production. Then if you go organic, if you use as much organic agriculture or techniques in as many organic techniques in your production process, probably you will help a lot the environment.
Thank you, Francesco. And maybe it's the same question. I don't know if Frank Milon is still with us. I hope yes. And because I know that this
Yes,
production,
Amina.
so thank you. This production is now that we have some countries moving on this production, like Canada and maybe Israel, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not an expert of hemp production, but how do you see this zero? Do you use this also for strategically positioning in the market, and how do you see the market of this specific production for the future in Europe? Yeah.
But I think in US in the last 10 or 20 years there is some publication on energy up in smoke regarding the recreational cannabis production and the energy expense and the impact on the ecology, and that's quite a bad thing for a future therapeutic product. I think because if we want to create a real, let's say, a positive market and the new plant-based pharmaceutical product with natural and green, we will not do it without doing it in a green way. So if we don't try to optimize our consumption or energy consumption and our impact on the ecology, that we will not perform at all. And that's a way to positionate the brand and the company on the market, because we really believe that that matters, and we have to do it. So we really believe that's a way for a better production strategy, and to differentiate, but also to inspire the others to do the same for all crops that needs to be produced in a controlled environment.
Yes, thank you, Frank. Of course, that you are in producing in a closed environment, so which is different, and we have already learned that there are very advanced experience on that. Now, I think we are going to towards the end of the session. I invite, of course, all of you to keep the focus on this afternoon session for the bilateral meetings. I hope the discussion was fruitful. Also, you got some inspiration from the presentations, and maybe continue to make contact afterward and learn that maybe we will have some projects in the future coming from this meeting today, this event today. From my side, I really thank very much all the speakers, all the participants, and all those who gave some time to organize all this. And I think from my side, I'm closing. I will give again the floor to Célia, and to maybe to lead us to the ending of this and the next steps. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Fabio, and thanks to all of our speakers. As Fabio just said, we have a program of B2B meetings this afternoon, so make sure to check your agendas so that people don't wait for you, or that you're completely aware of what you had agreed to in terms of the meetings. There will be meetings, B2B meetings tomorrow afternoon as well. Don't hesitate to link up with some of our speakers through these B2B meetings. They're there also to answer your questions in a more kind of direct face-to-face modality. So yes, so for us today, that's all. Tomorrow morning, we will focus specifically on participants that are clusters or policymakers. So if you're not one of these types of participants, then the session is not going to be directly of interest to you. It really is going to be for that sort of participant clusters and policymakers. We will be looking at how clusters can be involved in the new generation of financing programs in this Horizon Europe and other programs that have just started this year. So looking forward to seeing you all tomorrow morning from 10 o'clock if you are from a cluster or policymaker, and have a great B2B this afternoon. Thanks again, everyone. Thanks, Fabio, for the great moderation, and bye for now. We'll stop the registration now. Thank you all.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.